This was an event in the manga that had been building up for some time. In Luffy's adventures and battles with his enemies, it was commonplace to have Luffy barely survive and be severely injured. This slowly but surely...
Barely survive?
What was it?
In that arc, he
thinking back to
basically
Arlong.
could not
Was he
move
barely
forward.
surviving that one?
You said... let me go back.
In Luffy's adventures and battles with his enemies, it was commonplace to have Luffy barely survive and be severely injured.
That barely survive, severely injured.
Barely survive.
Or let's go with
Wait a
Kuro.
second.
Let's go with
No.
Kuro. Since him
No.
being one of the...
No.
Yeah. Arlong? No.
And nope.
No.
Drum
Alita?
Island? Nope.
Nope. Drum? Nope.
How could y'all forget about
Foxy?
my man, Don Krieg?
Yeah, Don Krieg really laid the works down on Luffy. He could barely even move inside that metal net that he used to an advantage to knock out Don Krieg. Oh, never mind. He was barely...
Foxy?
Our main man, Foxy.
Yeah, I guess
He
so.
was barely injured in most of his fights.
No, he was injured.
Crocodile,
but
yes. Crocodile,
he
he was
Croco-
very injured.
Crocodile was the first time it ever happened, so I can't...
No, he gets badly injured, but he's never like close to death.
He was poisoned.
Lucci
becomes
is
a dry husk
100%,
twice.
yeah, he's injured, but really,
I mean-
not many of the other ones. It's not
Lucci-
commonplace.
I mean,
Lucci...
I wouldn't say in all.
He got stabbed up by Krieg and Arlong.
Okay, there's only... well, for me at least, there's only 3
But what-
instances post-time skip. I mean, pre-time skip, where this even counts. Crocodile?
I wouldn't count Arlong because it was really a stomp fest after like he gets into the Navigator film.
Crocodile, Lucci, and... I guess you could...
I'd say Foxy.
Gloria. Yeah, no, it wasn't exactly a stomp where he was, barely able to
that had
get
been
up.
building up for some time. In Luffy's adventures and
If you
battles
also
with
want,
his
you also
enemies, it
try.
was
You
common...
can't count NL because he wasn't exactly nearly to death. He just had a big ball stuck to him, weighing him down.
Yeah, it was just an obstacle course to get over. He
place to
rarely
have
gets...
Luffy barely survive.
Barely survived. He barely survived. Lucci
No.
and Crocodile. Those are 2.
Yeah, then it's those two. If it's
Lucci and
barely
Crocodile,
survived,
the
And
only-
it
you
can
can
only
technically
be
count
those two.
Moria because then with.
What do you mean
and everything-
commonplace?
It's very uncommon. In fact, it's more common in the post-time skip, to be honest.
And be severely injured. This slowly but surely became worse and worse as Luffy needed more power to keep his crew from falling apart, and it reached a climax at Thriller Bark. Usopp is the voice that comments on this topic that the Straw Hats all know to be true. Luffy is killing himself to protect them. They are too weak as a collective to do anything about it. When Luffy was taken from them and properly thrashed into the ground in Marineford, it
pause.
was the nail in...
Yeah.
Well, I do agree that Luffy is using techniques that kill himself. He's doing it not because the others are too weak, because as he proclaimed it back in his lobby, he has to take on the big bads. He's the captain.
You didn't even specifically say techniques. It's just that he is killing himself.
And also, does
He's doing
Tear
whatever
Second,
he can
how does
to
Tear
get
Second
the
work
edge.
exactly? Because it you said it pumps up his blood flow, but does it kill him?
Yes, it does.
Well, when has Luffy stepped
I
into?
guess you could say it's like aging yourself really fast.
It was stated that it does affect his lifespan when he's Gear Second.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah, doping himself with his own blood.
but going back to them being too weak, when does Luffy have to intervene in their fights to save them directly? Because usually they finish out their fights barely as well.
Pretty much never.
Yeah, I can't think of a time we had to go.
So
to someone
they
else's fight.
never had to directly help them in a fight because they were too weak. Luffy's always just fought the big bad. When are any of them going to fight the big bad? I mean, besides Zoro.
I was thinking Kuro because there was one, but that was because Django cut up Nami, but then I think he stopped after that.
Yeah, that was like he cut her shoulder once, but then she still managed to
Get
get
to
Luffy
Luffy
up.
and wake him up, yeah. For some reason, my head is going to a moment in Alabasta with Usopp and eyelashes. For some reason, even though that doesn't count.
That was Sanji though. Had to go in. That wasn't
Yeah,
Luffy.
yeah. I don't know why I'm putting it there since, yeah, Luffy wasn't there. So,
Yeah, by the way, was it ever confirmed if after the time skip that does the second gear still lower his lifespan, or has he mitigated that?
I think he mitigated it because I'm pretty sure there was at some point where it was like he only uses gear second like one limb now.
Yeah, there was that he only uses on part of his body now, not his whole body, so it doesn't affect him as much. I think he still
Which I
affects him.
think,
It doesn't
which I
no
think
longer
is
need
super
as many
lame,
pumps as
but
before.
whatever.
I thought it was just a flashy design change for him, improving on the technique. Like how Sanji only has to tap the tip of his foot to activate his Diable Jambe. So, yeah.
From the coffin, the Straw Hats made a vow to make a difference and to focus on becoming stronger as a means of helping Luffy, as well as making the ability to accomplish their own dreams easier. This sets up expectations and motivations for what the audience is going to expect from the Straw Hats. The time skip was a character-oriented event that set into motion the necessity for change. I'm going to say that once again, because that is one of the many promises that Oda would break or mess up in terms of the three
Excuse
Ps.
me.
As you'll come to see when we go through the post-time skip.
Wait,
Character growth...
did he change at all?
Not
No.
single-
He said he messed up. Yeah, I'll replay it.
One of the many promises that Oda would break change. I'm going to say that once. Skip was a character-oriented event that set into motion the necessity for change. I'm going to say that once again, because that is one of the many promises that Oda would break or mess up in terms of the three Ps.
So, you all heard that, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
So
He said Oda promised him change, but to him didn't deliver.
Or just messed up.
but change
Whatever that means.
But he
The 3 Ps, everybody. You gotta do them.
gotta. Even though you never heard him before. You gotta do them.
Oh, yeah, that's why he brought it up. So to bring up this point at a later time.
But what did he what was expected to change exactly? Because their strength will change for sure.
What did
And
he expect to change?
And now they're like, okay, I'm guessing he's talking about, because sometimes people bring this up about how Luffy doesn't really change as a person despite his trauma. Even though he kind of does, we have to look for it. But but he does change though. Like I just said,
Everyone did. So it must be
Yeah.
it must be one of them or all of them changing for the worst? Worst?
like he's like, oh, why is Usopp still a coward? It's like because that's his character.
Or failing
Otherwise,
to change.
Be like, oh, dude, I don't know. He would just be less interesting. Like, why is Luffy still happy-go-lucky all the time? Why isn't he brooding? It's like, but that's not Luffy. It's like, why isn't Luffy more serious? Well, that's not Luffy. It's just that would be character inconsistency, really. I mean, it's a big change that happened in the story, sure, to Luffy, Ace's death and all, and the training, but like,
It's not
he almost did go through that change, but Jinbei brought him back from becoming Big Doomer Man.
pretty much
and,
Law
like,
and pretty much Law and or
Big
Robin. Because they're quite depressing characters when you look at them.
Also, like, knowing Luffy, he could have just at some point been like, yo, Ace wouldn't want me being sad all the time, so I'm not.
But still,
It's like, why should I be sad? I still have my crew. I still got my friends.
But still, I'm pretty sure he may or may not, probably not, explain himself on that.
Yeah, maybe.
Many promises that Oda would break or mess up in terms of the 3 Ps. As you'll come to see when we go through the post-time skip, character growth and reflection is a concept that is lacking in sticking to promises. Absolutely nothing changes in relation to how the characters in the crew operate.
Absolutely
How
nothing
the-
changes.
The
Sir.
fuck? I mean,
Uh,
technically, but that doesn't matter.
In a basic sense, no, but like he can see little things.
Like on a surface level, it might look the same, but it's definitely not.
I mean, are we just gonna denounce that Brooke grew like 4 inches at the time of the time skip? I mean, that's a major change.
Not to mention Not to mention how Nami and Robin's chest grew. That's a big change.
Buff Usopp.
I was about to say buff Usopp.
I mean, their dynamic between each other doesn't exactly have to change, but they definitely changed as people. So,
Oh yeah. Also, Usopp coming back and being
Zoro and his
yeah,
star.
longer weaklings. Let's go.
Zoro is much more serious in second. the
Exactly.
second-
Exactly. In Punk Hazard,
Man,
Zoro goes, "Hey
is much
Luffy,
more
stop
quick to
fucking
the
around."
button.
Yeah, it's like Luffy, stop fucking around. This shit's important. Like we're gonna die. Like if we fuck up.
This is the new world.
Is it possible? No. It's just a theory of mine. Now, is it possible that he had not read One Piece?
I definitely read it. I've seen.
He read it, but he's just he was in such a hatred of it at Whole Cake
Okay.
that he wasn't
so
consuming the
uninvested.
No,
proper.
did-
properly.
Did he read One Piece with his eyes open?
I think he may have read. I think he may have opened his eyes when he got to Marineford.
I have seen
just to
streams
see-
with him where he has been looking at a screen with his eyes open and reading words that were on the same page that I was reading at the time as well. So I would have to say yes.
Because he's mentioning things, but he isn't like he's missing obvious details.
At the very
He's
least,
He's not giving examples, and which is causing us to be like, "What
not
are you saying?"
He's not. I just think he's just not invested in the story anymore because it's not going the way he wanted to. So he's not catching things that he should be. Otherwise,
I don't think he was ever invested because like the simple shit is he's missing.
Concept that is lacking and sticking to promises.
And we can't even go back to his old videos to see if he wasn't a One Piece fan. 'Cause he privated
How the
them.
characters in the crew operate.
that's the
How
biggest
the
sin.
arcs turn out, and what held the group back as a collective, which led to the happenings in Marineford. Nothing changed. The formula is still the same. I mentioned before that the writing process of a story is not easy, especially for a series that is a long-running one. In fact, it is infinitely harder to end a long-running series in a good manner than it is a short one.
I guess.
How many series that have been exceptionally long have ended well?